Hello, this is Bill. Welcome back. In this video, you'll learn how to create an animated rollover button. An animated rollover button is created by nesting a movie clip in the over state of a button symbol. And I've already got the movie planned, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. If my mouse is off to the right, I can see nothing is occurring here. But the moment I place my cursor over or mouse over one of these buttons, it will begin to animate. And the same thing with welcome and photos. To shorten this video a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and create two animated rollover buttons. And finally, the last step I'll do is show you how to actually create an external link here, add a link here, so if I press on this button, it will go somewhere. Well, now that we know what we want to create, I'll go ahead and close my movie and my flash file. And I'm going to come along and create a new flash file, and I'm going to use ActionScript 2.0. I think it makes it very easy to create that external link. Well, the first thing I want to now do is get a couple images into my library. To do that, I'll come to File, Import, and I'll go Import to Library. And I'm going to grab the button Flower 1 button. I'm going to hold the Control button down, and I'll grab Flower 2 button .jpg. And then we'll take those two images and import them to the library. And that's actually the next step I want to do is open up my library. So I'll come up here to Window, and I'll come down to Library. And here are the two images that I just got done inserting. Well, the next step I want to do is create a movie clip for my home button. So I'll press on the Create New symbol, and I'll come up here and I'll type MC for movie clip, and I'll give it the name here MC_home, and I want to make sure that I choose movie clip on this one. At this point, I'll go ahead and press OK. And I'm now ready to take my first image and drag it onto the stage there. And I want to guarantee that I've got this image centered perfectly on the stage here, both horizontally and vertically. Otherwise, when I go from my static button to my animated rollover button there, it's going to move a little bit, and I want to kind of avoid that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Align window, come up here to Window, and I'm going to come down to Align. And to make sure this thing is centered vertically and horizontally, I'm going to press on this little icon right here called the Align Horizontal Center. I'll come right below it, and I'll press on Distribute Vertical Center. So now I've guaranteed that thing is centered there perfectly on the stage. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and animate this. In order to animate it, I first need to convert it to a symbol. To do that, I'll come up here to Modify, Convert to Symbol. And I'm going to go ahead and choose a graphic symbol, and I'll just leave the name alone, symbol 1, and I'll go ahead and press OK. Okay, I'll go ahead and press frame 15, and I'll insert a keyframe. To do that, I can come up here, insert timeline keyframe, or I can use the keyboard shortcut F6 to insert a keyframe. And let me repeat that process over here on 30, pressing F6 here and insert a keyframe. Well, at this point, I can add my motion tween, or I'll tell you what, let me first of all change the brightness on frame 15. And let me go ahead and close this here window and this one here just momentarily so I can have this up here on my stage a little bit higher. Okay, now I'm going to open up my property windows. That's Control F3 to get my property window open. And all I'm going to do is change the brightness. I'm on frame 15, change the brightness, and I'm going to go to 50% here, and that's going to lighten that up a little bit. So frame 1 and frame 30 will be normal, and here in the middle I'll lighten it up. And now I'm going to simply right-click here, create a motion tween, right-click here, create a motion tween, and at this point I'll go ahead and close my property window, and I'll go ahead and open up my library and my Align window. Okay, so if I was to play this right here, it's just going to simply start kind of normal, lighten up a little bit, and then go kind of back to where it was earlier. And that finishes, wraps up my movie clip, and I'm now ready to begin creating my first button, and that is, I'm going to press on this little icon right here to create a new symbol, and I'm going to give it the name my home underscore button, and this one is going to be a type button, and I'll go ahead and press OK. Okay, at this point I'm going to come along and come over here and create my first layer. I'm going to call that one my graphic /MC. So on this layer, I'm either going to have a static graphic or my movie clip. I'll go ahead and press on the insert layer icon again and double click, and I'll go ahead and call this one my stroke. That's where I'm going to simply place a black border around my navigation button. And finally, I'll go ahead and press on this one more time, and I'll go ahead and this is where I'll insert my text. Let me come down here to my stroke, and at this point I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle. Press on the rectangle tool, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the fill color. I just want to make sure I've got a stroke around the outside of my button. I can see my stroke layer is my active layer, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a rectangle. Well, I know the size of my image. It's 160 pixels in width, 40 pixels in height, and I'm going to go ahead and make the rectangle just a little bit larger than that. And to do that, I'll go ahead and highlight it. I'll open up my Properties window, Control F3, and I'll come down here on the width, and I'll go 162 here, and 42 on the height, and I'll go ahead and press OK there. And at this point, I'll go ahead and close my Property window, Control F3, and I'll go ahead and press right up here to align my horizontal center and distribute my vertical center. Okay, let me tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer right here. That's my stroke. The only thing on that layer is going to be this black border. Now to insert my graphic, I'll make that my active layer. And on my up state, that's when my mouse is not on it, that's just the normal state. All I'm going to have there is this static flower, and I'll simply drag that over, and I'll go ahead and again align the horizontal center and the vertical center. And at this point, let me go ahead and add some text. I'll press on my text layer, and I'll go ahead and change this to black, and I'll press on my type tool, and I'll go ahead and type home. And I'll go ahead and use my selection tool, and I'm just going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard to reposition that text a little bit there. Or I can also come up here and again choose align horizontal center and vertical there. Okay, so we've now finished the normal state in that particular case. So that is how the button looks when my mouse is not over top of it. Well, on the text, that's going to be the exact same thing, whether or not my mouse is over or not. So I'm going to press on this little square here on my over for my text. I'm just going to press insert a keyframe, F6, and the same thing if I'm pressing down, I'm going to press F6 to insert another keyframe, and the same thing with the stroke. I'm going to press F6, F6 to insert some additional frames. So the text and this rectangle around the outside will not change whether or not my mouse is over top of it. I'm now going to insert a keyframe on the over, F6 there, and now what I'm going to do is drag my movie clip and position that using my align tool, horizontal center and vertical center there. And I'll go ahead and press F6 again here. So whether or not if my mouse is actually pressing down on it, it will still continue to animate there. So my up, you really can't even see it until we bring this onto the scene. It's just going to be static, but once I get to over, that's when that movie clip will start to play. And let's go ahead and check this out. I'll drag this onto my scene, open up my scene here, and I'll drag out home underscore button and place that right there. And now to check it out, I'm going to come up here to Control, Test Movie. Here my cursor is off to the right, and as soon as it appears over top of that navigation button, it's going to start to animate. At which point I'm going to go ahead and close this, and now we're going to repeat this process, creating one more navigation button. To do that, I'm going to start off. First of all, I'll go ahead and I'm going to save any time here. Maybe I'll just come right on here. I was going to duplicate that, but I'll just go ahead and start from scratch here. I'll press on the Create New symbol again, and I'll create one called MC underscore welcome. And this is going to be a movie clip, and I'll go ahead and press OK. And I'll go ahead and drag Flower 2 onto the stage. Go ahead and align that horizontally, align that vertically. I'll need to convert that to a symbol, and that's going to be a graphic. I'll leave the name alone. I'll go ahead and press OK. At this point, I can animate it. I'll highlight frame 15, press F6 to insert a keyframe. Highlight 30. Press F6 to insert another keyframe. I'll highlight frame 15. I'll open my properties window, Control F3. I'll go ahead and select that. It looks like it already is. And I'll come down here and I'll change the brightness, and I'll go to 50% there. And I'll go ahead and close my property window, Control F3 again. So frame 1, dark, lighten it up at frame 15, and back to more normal state there on frame 30. Right click, create a motion tween, right click, create another motion tween, and at this point I'm now finished with my movie clip for my welcome button. Okay, at this point I'm going to come along and highlight my home button, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate, and I'm going to call it my welcome button. And I can see it's already a typed button, so I'll go ahead and press OK. Okay, I can see I've got my selection tool. I'm going to double click here just to make sure I'm working with my welcome button and not the button I just got done create, my home button here. Okay, as far as the text is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and simply I'm going to go ahead and actually delete all these frames. I'm going to simply right click and hit remove frames. I'm going to come here to my upstate. I'll use my type tool, and I need to hit F6 here to insert a blank, or to insert a keyframe here, so I've got some place to type here. Now I'll go ahead and type welcome. Go ahead and align that horizontally, align it vertically, or tell you what, go ahead and use my selection tool, and let me just move that on down a little bit there. Okay, the text, I want that the same whether or not my mouse is not on the button or over the button, so I'll simply press F6 here and F6 here or there. Okay, let me come down here, and I'm going to simply, like I did a second ago, I'm going to go ahead and delete these layers. I'm going to highlight all three, right click, remove frames. I'm on my graphic for my up. I'll press F6 here, and let me see if I can find that. There it is, flower 2. Drag that on, align that horizontally, align that vertically, come over here, press F6, and now I'm going to find my movie clip for my welcome, and again I'll go ahead and align that horizontally and vertically. And I'll go ahead and press F6 here again to insert another keyframe, so whether my mouse is over or actually pressing down on it, that particular movie clip will be animated. Well, we're ready to insert this onto the scene. To do that, I'll go ahead and press on my scene button again. Come on down here. Here's my welcome button, and drag that onto my stage. Okay, go ahead and check it out. I'll come up here to Control, Test Movie, position my cursor over home. I can see how that will start to animate. Or if I come on down here to Welcome, that will animate. And one last step here is let me go ahead and show you how to create some links here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight my home button. I'm going to come up here to Window, Behaviors, and I'll press on this little plus sign here. I'll come to Web. I'll go to Web Page, and here I can enter a URL, whatever that might be, techvideos.com, and press OK, and I can repeat that process for the welcome. Sometimes I've shown you an easy way to do that. You can also use action scripts, and if I was to press on Window Actions, we can begin to see the source code right here that was created here using that simple kind of GUI interface for creating the source code. And in effect, when I release that mouse button, here is the URL that it would go to. Well, that kind of concludes this video. Hopefully you now know how to create an animated rollover button. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.